formal introduction of Mrs. Balasubramanian.
A very good morning to all of you. On behalf of the DBMS College of Education, it is my honor to welcome Mrs. Prema Balasubramanian, former principal of DBMS English School. She has also served as the president of the School Management Committee and has been instrumental in setting up the DBMS Career Academy and the National Open School at Jamshedpur. Her areas of expertise include conducting workshops for teachers on English language and literature, classroom methodology, self-esteem, and the right attitude. She has authored textbooks in English, history, and general knowledge. Mrs. Prema Balasubramaniam was honored with the Best Citizen of India Award for the year 2003 by the International Publishing House, New Delhi, for introducing some innovative, path-breaking, and more pragmatic and direction-oriented methods. We are indeed honored to have you with us today, ma'am. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. I look forward to the session. A very good morning to all of you. You know, they say that history is never the same. Who would have thought that we will be living in a world like this, where classes are conducted online, where you just can't greet your neighbors except perhaps raising a hand and salute, because you have to keep social distancing. And there are so many norms to be followed that normal life seems to have come to a standstill completely. You know, in this context, in this scenario, which is at the same time alarming, as well as something which nobody imagined, we find that teachers whose role is already challenging have to face a very, very challenging life ahead. Why is this life so challenging? You know, earlier we had the Gurukul system of education where students were completely under the control of the Guru. You know, there were no outside interferences. What the Guru said was authority, and his law could not be broken at any time. Then slowly we came into our schools, the regular curriculum, the various boards, where children had their own challenges to meet, and teachers had to keep up with the curriculum, complete the syllabus, as well as ensure that students from various walks of life realized what they were studying and took in what they had to take in, and finally prove their mettle in the examinations. But now, the sea that confronts us is frightening, to say the least. Why is it frightening? Why are these online classes such a challenge? The first thing is, children do not have any regular school at all. There are no regular schools. Everything is online. And when a teacher conducts a class, she or he doesn't know what the student is doing. The very prospect is alarming, and at the same time quite nerve-wracking as well. Because when you don't know what your students are doing, you don't know whether what you're teaching is going down well at all. So that is a very big challenge. Nevertheless, all of us have to gear ourselves up to meet this challenge and survive, not only survive, but also triumph over the situation. Now, with this kind of prayer, a prayer to the Almighty to help us tide over this difficult situation, to make us more powerful and give us the strength of mind and body to overcome all the struggles that we are facing now, I start this session on handling online classes. Now, all of you who are listening to me, the youngsters, are going to be the future teachers. And the role of a teacher cannot be taken lightly at all, because you are the architects who are going to fashion the future generation, the future citizens of the world. I'm not saying just in our country. Today it's a global world, it's a global village as we call it, and every one of us is a citizen of the world. And that is why we are in the position that we are now. So how do you make your online classes interesting, enjoyable, effective, and at the same time, you yourself are relaxed and totally in control of what you are doing? So I start off with my first presentation for today, which is online classes, a total challenge. So the first thing that you have to ensure is get yourself ready to meet this challenge. Develop the right kind of attitude. Your attitude will determine how far you can go. It is the measure of your performance, it is a measure of your success, and it is a measure of your health as well. Because if you have a positive attitude, you will definitely be successful in whatever you undertake. And if you are successful in what you undertake, you will definitely have minimum stress. And a stress-free life will guarantee good health. And good health will in turn see that you have peace of mind. So it's all one complete circle. So let's start with having a proper attitude. Instead of grumbling, oh my Lord, I wish I didn't have to take these online classes. I'm not equipped to deal with it at all. Start off with the attitude that here is a chance to learn something new. It doesn't matter if you're not computer savvy. You can always pick up a skill anytime in life. And this is as good a time as any to learn a new skill. So start polishing your skill sets, develop that positive attitude to handle these classes, and you're all set for the day. So the first step in these online classes is get ready with the platform you're going to use. What is the platform that you're targeting? Is it Zoom? Is it Google? Or is it there's so many other platforms that are available? Familiarize yourself with the platform. Ensure that you know the nitty-gritty of the platform that you're going to be operating. And once you know these minor points, these details, be confident that you can tackle it. So that is the first step. What is the second step? The second step is making sure that you have a proper internet connection. We are living in a place where anytime the net connection may go off. 2 weeks back, when I was discussing with the principal of the B.Ed college, when we should have this session, we were targeting on a certain day. And then I realized that there was some problem in my connection, and due to these lockdown norms and the various principles of keeping your distance, wearing masks, and not coming close to anybody, nobody wanted to come home to attend to the problem. So therefore, we had to postpone it to a time when the net will be reliable. And thirdly, make sure it is not the day when you are having a power shutdown in your area. So these are the basic things that you have to tackle. Now, coming to the class itself, how was this online class totally different from a regular class? In a regular classroom, I always say, you are the monarch of all you survey. Once you enter the classroom, you have your students in front of you, you have your classes well prepared, you know how the indisciplined ones or the naughty ones are going to behave, and you know how you can tackle them. But in an online class, you don't know what's happening on the other side of the screen. You may be very busy teaching something very important, a very tricky mathematical problem, or an important formula in physics, or a chemical equation and reaction in chemistry, or one of the very famous poems of Shelley. But you don't know whether your students are listening to you, understanding to you, or whether they are having the time of their lives looking at something else, while you are spending all your energy in conducting this class. That is a very big problem. Secondly, in an online class, teachers are always under a microscope. Now, when I say you're under a microscope, you are being watched not only by the students, but by whoever is there in their house. It can be their parents, it can be their aunts, it can be their uncles, it can be their grandparents, it can be their tutors, anybody for that matter. So you are being watched all the time. You are under a microscope. With the result, what happens is you are suffering a sense of anxiety, you are nervous, and your confidence level automatically dips. When your confidence level dips, your performance is not what you want it to be. So friends, my advice to all of you is, it doesn't matter who watches you. Be well prepared, be prepared beforehand, and once you're well prepared, nothing can stop you. So how do we go well prepared to the class? First, set your learning objectives very clear. What is a learning objective? The learning objective in any lesson plan is what you want your students to know by the end of the class. Now, for instance, I have taken a small topic here, a very pertinent topic, which is the topic of time management. Now, if I want to take a chapter on time management, if I want my students to know how important time is, then I have to ensure that by the time I finish my class, my students know the value of time, will be able to plan their activities accordingly, and will know how good they are at juggling different things when they are hard pressed for time. So that will be my learning objective. So once I decide on the learning objective for my class, how do I go about it? First, I have what I call the introduction. When I introduce my class, I'm going to tell my students, well, today in this class, you're going to learn about time management. And when I say that we are going to learn about time management, I will lead the students to the topic. How will I lead them to the topic? I will lead them to the topic by asking what we call lead-in questions. Now, lead-in questions are questions that you put to the students so that they themselves come to the topic, and it's easy for you to start off and continue with the topic. Now, when I come to time management, I ask them, why is time essential? Why should you be conscious of time? because time is a commodity. Once it's gone, you cannot get it back. You cannot put back the clock. You cannot get back the time that you have lost, the time that you have wasted, the time that you have spent on all useless pursuits. Particularly today, in this scenario, time is of the essence. Time is very, very important for every one of us. We can't afford to lose even a single minute, even a single second. So you have to be conscious of time. So once you're conscious of time, once you ask these questions, most of us, the excuse that we have when we don't do something is, oh, I'm so sorry. I did not have the time to do it. I just couldn't find the time. What do you mean by saying I couldn't find the time? It is not that you couldn't find the time. It is because you did not have the inclination to use the time profitably and well to further your interests, to make use of it in a profitable manner, to empower yourself. So that is the most important thing that you have to remember. Whatever topic you are planning to have, try to introduce the topic by means of lead-in questions, which will automatically bring you to the topic. Now, many of you may wonder, how do we ask these lead-in questions in an online class? Well, you can have something called an interactive session where you can have a meeting with different participants where they can answer immediately when you unmute them and they are able to give their opinion. But there is a disadvantage in this kind of a classroom. What happens when all of them start giving you answers? There is total chaos and pandemonium. With the result, the flow of the class is disturbed and you're not able to continue at the same pace that you wanted. So what you can do is post these questions beforehand to your students. Let them give you the answers through email so that you can discuss them when you handle the class yourself. So that brings us to the next point, which is let the students know beforehand what you're going to deal with them in that particular class. Now, what is the advantage of letting the students know beforehand what you're going to handle? Now, what happens is most teachers may say, if the students know beforehand what we are going to teach, they may not be interested. But in this kind of a classroom, where everything is online, it is very advantageous. When the students know what is going to be taught, they come prepared with all their queries and questions, which they would have posted to you beforehand, and they'll be looking forward to the answers that you are going to give them in the virtual classroom. So this makes learning very enjoyable, very interactive, and at the same time, very effective as well. So these are the points that you have to remember before you get started with the topic in hand. Now, once you start teaching the topic, go through the topic in detail, and in between, give them some questions which they can answer at home so that they are able to comprehend what has been taught and they are able to come back with the answers which they'll again be posting to you online. And the most important thing after you finish your class is what we call the feedback. The important thing is the feedback. All of us need that feedback. And I always say feedback, whether it's appreciative or whether it's critical, always helps you to grow. How can it help you grow? There are two ways of looking at feedback. Most people do not welcome a critical feedback. Why? It is because they feel that they are the best and they need not improve any further. This is what is called a very complacent attitude. Please do not develop this. Always encourage a feedback which is constructive, critical, and at the same time, a feedback that will help you to improve yourself further. All of us keep learning as we go along. There is no end to learning at all. We keep learning throughout our lives and we keep learning till the day of our death. So encourage students to give you a feedback, even if it's critical, because it helps you to grow and empower yourself. And if the feedback is appreciative, it does wonders for your morale. You become empowered overnight. And I find that once you're appreciated, you always tend to give much more than what you thought was imaginable. So even when you deal with students and when you give a feedback, try to give a positive feedback first, and then comes the feedback which will help them to improve. Always start with a positive stroke. So if you start with a positive stroke, it will help you a lot, both as a teacher and as a human being. And how do students post this feedback in an online classroom? In an online classroom, feedback can be posted through email by the students, by your colleagues who are watching the program, and by authorities who are also watching it, or even by some parents who are watching the program and who really want their children to benefit. So please welcome feedback and do not say no to it. And before you end the class, the most important thing is you have to give an assignment. Now, what is an assignment? An assignment can be a project, because already you have given questions on the topic that you have covered. An assignment should be something which prompts them to think, which prompts them to analyze, which prompts them to really work in a logical manner and grow as students and as individuals, and which is good for their personality. Now, today I would like to advocate a project like mind mapping on time management. I've given an example in my PowerPoint presentation, which can be shown to the students so that they know what mind mapping is. Now, mind mapping is a very popular technique which is adopted by many teachers world over, so that it enables students to think on different lines. They come to a certain topic. Now, for instance, the mind mapping I have given is global warming, which is the need of the hour today, which we have to address, a burning issue. How we as individuals can contribute to making adaptations that can lower the risk of climate change and make the environment healthy, so that we are able to give a green planet to our next generation. So that is the mind mapping activity that I have given in my PowerPoint presentation for students. They can work on it, but any issue can be dealt with mind mapping. It can be on time management, it can be on empowering yourself, it can be on growing as teachers, in getting a more effective classroom. Anything can be given as an assignment in mind mapping. So try to use this activity well so that you get the maximum benefit out of it. Is there anybody from the faculty who wants to ask a question before I go on to the next one? Anybody in the faculty who wants to ask a question?
Participants, if you have a question, please put it forward before ma'am moves on to the next topic.
Or they can post it on my email. there's no problem at all. They can post it on my email and I will answer. That perhaps will not, disturb the flow of the session. So they can take their time on whatever I have spoken till now, and then they can post their questions, and then that can be handled. Right?
Okay.
Is it
Ma'am,
okay?
I have a question on mind mapping.
Yes, please.
Yes. Ma'am, by mind mapping, you mean that if suppose the child is studying history, civics, social studies, and English, so
Yes,
maybe
please.
whatever they are learning in one subject, a similar kind of trail of thought has to be taught in all the other subjects. Is that what is mind mapping, ma'am?
The mind mapping is actually, you take up an issue, right? Now, for instance, I have taken up global warming, or I will take up the issue that I've given them to do as an assignment. Let's take up time management itself, or perhaps you said history and civics. Most children don't like to study history.
Yes, ma'am.
I've seen that even with my own daughter. She used to detest studying history because she felt it was of no use at all. So most children have this problem because they feel they learn nothing out of history. That is their, idea. And they feel there are too many dates for them to memorize, too many incidents that they have to remember, and they feel they would rather do something else. Particularly if they are more inclined towards scientific, they have a more scientific bent of mind. So what they can do is let them have the study of history as a central point, and then map around what are the reasons why they don't want to study history. For
Okay.
instance, I can't remember dates. That may be one thing. I feel it's no use studying history. I feel the past does not matter. I feel the future matters more. And my grades come down because I don't score well in history. These are all the reasons. And how I can come out of it. How I can study history because it's compulsory. It's mandatory for all students to study history up to a certain point in the school curriculum. Then they start with the ideas, how can I remember? I don't remember dates. So what are the ways by which I can make myself remember dates? That is what we call mind mapping. One issue leads to so many other things. Now, for instance, if I come to time management, I feel I don't have time for the things that really matter. It's because I spend a lot of time on the phone. I spend a lot of time on WhatsApp. I spend a lot of time on useless pursuits like playing video games and other games. So how can I get out of it? Then I start saying I restrict my time on the phone. I restrict my WhatsApp. I restrict this. So from one issue, you go on and then finally you arrive at a solution. This can be applied to any subject matter, anything, and it works wonderfully because it makes you think very logically, very analytically, and it makes you solve the problem very well to your
Thank you, ma'am.
advantage so that you are able to grow and empower yourself. I hope I've answered your questions.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Anytime
Yes,
you
ma'am.
have a problem, you're most welcome to send me a mail, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
So if all of you are okay with this, if there are no more questions, I would like to go to the next one, which is, unfortunately today the time is short. I was able to give only 1 hour because I have another thing coming up at 12:15. So I'm going to the next one, which is the most important thing I feel for all of us as individuals, which is empowering ourselves. So the most important thing is empowerment today, particularly in today's scenario. It's very important because you would have noticed when you saw the newspapers that suicidal rates are going up like anything. Why is this so? Why are suicidal rates going up? There is unemployment. There is a lot of depression all around. People find that they have to entertain themselves. They are not able to indulge in outings, going out to restaurants, going out for picnics. interacting with friends, they go into a bout of depression from which they are not able to get out at all. So in this scenario, it's very important that we empower ourselves to handle this pandemic in every way possible. Here the most important thing is, as I told you earlier also, it is your attitude that determines everything. I'll just give you a simple example. Our neighbor has tested COVID-19 positive. The entire house has been cordoned. We thought they're going to cordon the entire street. Fortunately, they didn't do that. They have cordoned only the house. And the health workers are coming every morning to spray disinfectant all over the place, including our house gate as well. And the garbage woman comes every day to collect the garbage. She wears gloves, she wears a mask, but she's a very positive person. And whenever I ask her how she is, she said, it's fine. You don't have to worry. She's handling all this and she's not scared. A young girl, she comes well dressed and always with a smile on her face. I really feel like saluting her, because in these hard times, when it's difficult for people who have all the facilities on hand to be cheerful, a woman like that is able to smile and say everything is fine. So that is something that we have to learn in our everyday lives. We have to be positive. That is the most important thing. So your attitude determines how far you can go. Second thing is, be very amenable to suggestions. Any suggestion that comes from anywhere that can make life better, please accept it. Do not block your mind to suggestions. Suggestions may come from even little children. That may be a great help to us sometimes. So accept these suggestions that come to you and implement these suggestions so that you are able to benefit from these suggestions. The third thing is, don't wait for opportunities to knock at your door. Opportunities never come knocking at our door. We have to create opportunities where there is none. So this is the time when you can create opportunities. You want to spend some time making yourself, let's say, happy, cheerful, so that you don't feel depressed or dejected. Do you like painting? Please take it up. Do you like embroidery? Please take it up. You want to try something new in cooking? Take it up. You like gardening? Please do that. Or you just want to stay up and enjoy the night sky or enjoy the beauty of nature? Please do that. That will make you feel so much better and you will feel refreshed, even if it is just for 10 minutes. If you want to take up writing, you want to pen down your thoughts on what you're going through, please do that and make time for the people in your house. That's the most important thing. Now, what happens is when you're living in very close quarters now, you don't have an outlet, you can't go out. Tempers tend to get frayed and you do become a little short-tempered because you're not able to go out and have a good time. So please be careful not to vent your anger or frustration on the other inmates of the house. The next thing is, be bountiful with all your feelings and affections. That's the most important thing. And be compassionate. Compassion is very important now, particularly the people who are serving you. It's not enough if just once in a while, according to the government's instructions, you stand up on your terrace, light a lamp, or show your torchlight and say Jai Hind, or salute, or wave. Show it in your action, show it in your attitude, show it in your gestures. And be thankful that we are fortunate in the sense that we are able to have what we want. It may not be the choicest fare, it may be something that you have to cook yourself, but at least be thankful that we have a roof over our heads and a nice warm meal at the end of the day, even if it's a simple meal. So be thankful for what we have. And once we can count our blessings, we will count ourselves lucky and we will feel very happy as well. Now, this online session itself, we are all very lucky that we are able to interact, see each other, and finally, at the end of the session, you feel okay, I'm not so many miles apart. I have somebody who cares for me. There is somebody who is listening to me. There is somebody who is looking up to me. There is somebody with whom I can share my thoughts, my feelings, and what I feel. Well, that itself is a very great feeling. Having this great advantage of online classes provided by DBMS is a great blessing indeed. Very great blessing. And we have to thank Banu Auntie for making us so fortunate that we are able to reap the benefits of her labor, her foresight, as well as her vision. So we have to be thankful for every small thing that we have. And the other thing is, never ever become depressed, grumpy, or, rejected. That is not the thing. That is not the attitude that you must have. And when you come to these online classes, be well dressed. This is an opportunity, isn't it so? This is an opportunity for us to be well dressed. Otherwise, all those dresses, saris, everything is just lying in the cupboard because you're at home, keeping safe, keeping yourself protected. So you don't go out anywhere. So there's no chance to really wear all those beautiful saris and dresses, deck yourself in all the finery and go out for parties. So let us dress up in our best, be cheerful, and spread the light of cheerfulness all around. And the next important thing is keep reading. Why should we read? Now, somehow this reading habit is not there in the younger generation at all. Both reading as well as writing. Writing, of course, writing letters has gone, totally gone. It is what is called old-fashioned or obsolete. Now, all that you do is send an email, that too in language that cannot be called language, or versus the WhatsApp, where you just send very, very short messages or just forward whatever comes to you without even reading through what has come through. So these are some of the things that we have to keep away from. The other day, somebody had sent me a message saying that more than 2 hours or 3 hours of the television is supposed to be very, very unhealthy, particularly for youngsters. Today, many of you may tell me that we have no other entertainment. All the entertainment we have is the television. Why? You have the books. There are so many books that you have been meaning to read, but you couldn't find the time because you were too busy partying. So read the books that you couldn't find the time to read. Try to write, pen down whatever thoughts come to your mind. Try to listen to music which can really soothe you. Try to compose something and you will be a happier and a very healthy person at the end of it. Instead of just sitting glued to the television and gorging on all those snacks and putting on a lot of unnecessary weight. So let's stop all that and let's take a resolution now that I will empower myself by reading more, writing more, and interacting through proper mails, not just crisp emails which mean nothing. I know this is a time if you want to tell your closest friend how much she or he means to you, please go ahead and do it. Don't wait for tomorrow to say how much you appreciate that help. So try to empower yourself by doing that, because you will be creating a friendship which will be there lifelong. So don't wait for an opportunity to say those nice things. Don't wait for an opportunity to learn a new skill set. And don't wait for an opportunity to become a more empowered person. Now, the next thing that you have to remember is, in our profession as teachers, what is important? The important thing is to update ourselves. We have to update ourselves. We have to update our knowledge. And this is the best time to do that. So don't think that just because I'm taking an online class and I can't see the reaction of my students, I can say anything and get away with it. No, now it's time for you to be more careful, because you have to deliver something which is really worthwhile and which will make your students remain glued to their screens, because they are interested to see what you are going to say. So try to update the knowledge that you have. Knowledge is something that gives you unlimited power. It cannot be compared to anything else. Knowledge is power. Information is power. The more informed you are, the more powerful you become. And when you spread this knowledge and information, there is one thing that all of us have to guard against it. What is that? That is, never give information that is not authentic or that is not true. Please do not misinform anybody, particularly during these times when we have to be very careful. And here you have to be very guarded in what you speak and how you speak. The other day, an ex-student of mine was telling me that his son was attending an online class, and he said, I just went into the room and I noticed that the teacher was teaching something very important, and my son was busy playing some games on the phone. The teacher couldn't see what the student was doing, and obviously the parents can't remain there all the time monitoring what the student is doing. So all these things are there in an online class, which we have to be careful about. But nonetheless, it's important for all of us to remember that if you give them the activities which have to be completed by a certain period, by activities, I mean activities based on what you have taught, exercises, activities, work that is related to what has been taught, students will definitely pay more attention. And please evaluate this work that we submitted to you. Don't just check the work and leave it. It should be like a real examination where you correct the work and grade the students so that they know what is coming. The way things are, I think these online classes are here to stay for quite some time. They're not going to go away so easily. Perhaps for another 6 months. I don't want to sound pessimistic, but that's how it looks, going by the numbers. So let us get all ready to take these classes by being well prepared, by recapitulating whatever we have done in the class, by giving them sufficient exercises on what we have covered in the class, by posting what you're going to do in the next class, by asking for their feedback, and by ensuring that your classes are enjoyable and effective and interactive by inviting your students to come with their comments, with their queries, with their questions, with their doubts beforehand, so that you're able to attend to this before you proceed with the topic. These are all the things that you have to remember. And the most important of all is, before you end the class, recapitulate whatever you have done, so that students once again refresh what has been done and what they have to come prepared for in the next class. It is always good to keep them informed about what is to come. Don't take them by surprise. So now I have finished whatever I wanted to say, more or less. As I told you, time is short. That's the reason. And I invite all of you to come up with your questions. I have posted my email.
Students, please feel free to ask any questions that you may have, because ma'am has another meeting to attend.
Are you able to see my email ID? prem.balu71@gmail.com.
Yes,
This
ma'am.
is my email ID, and I welcome your mail, your feedback, any queries, any doubts you may have. You're most welcome.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am. I am Ruby. I am a student from DBMS College of Education.
Yes, please.
Ruby, louder, Ruby.
Okay, ma'am.
It's okay. I can hear you.
Yes, ma'am. I just wanted to ask you, ma'am, in virtual classroom, as the instructions options are very limited for the teachers, so students sometimes miss out the hands-on experiments.
Okay.
So what to do about it, ma'am? How can we move forward for this?
Now, what kind of experiments are you meaning?
Ma'am, for example, the chemistry lab experiments and physics experiments, that way.
I think you may have to show a demonstration. You have to take time to take a demonstration for them so that they are able to follow it. Take a video of whatever you want to show so that children follow.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
That is bad, because these things, unless they are shown, they have to see it to understand what is being told. So such things which are tricky have to be demonstrated live. Only the students can follow.
Yes, ma'am.
And of course, if they want you to demonstrate again, you have to be prepared for that.
Yes, ma'am.
Right?
Yes.
It's a very big challenge. I know, I agree, but it's here to stay, and we have to tackle it. And with the right attitude and the right spirit and determination, I'm sure all of us can do it. There's nothing that's impossible. That's what I believe in.
Right, ma'am.
Right?
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, you're most welcome.
Very inspiring.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Sangeeta Samant here.
Yes, please. Good afternoon.
How are you, ma'am? Looking charming as ever. That's the first thing I noticed.
I'm absolutely fine. Yes, please.
And, of course, as usual.
Hello.
Voice is cracking, ma'am. I'm not able to get you.
I'm sorry, I'm not able to hear you clearly.
Yes, ma'am. Are you able to hear me?
Now I can hear you, but there is a lot of, getting interrupted, I think. There is some problem with the connection.
So, I'll just remove my headphone and speak directly. I'll switch off my video, then it will be clear.
Yeah, yes, please.
I'll
now
just
you're
get
clear.
back to you, ma'am. 1 minute.
Yeah.
Okay. So, ma'am, as I was saying, that it is a pleasure meeting you again. It's like old days have come back, and connecting with you is nothing but sheer joy.
Oh, thank you so much. Even I feel the same. I feel the same.
Ma'am, the 3 years that I worked under you, I learned trillions of things, and that has remained with me. And I tried
God
to
bless you
practice,
for saying that. You made my day.
and I still try to be as you are. You lead by example. That's the first thing I want to say. Your simplicity, your humility, your knowledge, all of these things I like to practice on a daily basis. And I hope I'm able to transfer it to my students. And
I'm sure you will.
by Bhanu ma'am's grace, I've been given an opportunity to teach in the college, and I always convey this to them. Whatever knowledge you gain, never lose your humility while you're transferring it to your students. And that is the most important thing for me. You gain a lot in life, but remain humble all through. And ma'am, time management again is of essence today, as you said. And sometimes, I just switch off my mobile because it really gets under my skin when the messages are coming constantly, meeting after meeting. And that is again important because we have to stay connected no matter what. And we have to serve the society in whatever capacity we can, whether it's the parents, because the parents are actually going through so many problems right now. And when they ask for help, even at an odd hour, they try not to. It's not that they're doing it purposely, but sometimes there are problems that they do face, and they get in touch. They try to reach out to the educators, the schools, and all of that. And I must say the teachers are also bending backwards to accommodate all the parents. And this entire Yes, ma'am. And this entire experience during COVID has actually made us reflect upon who we are as human beings. And ma'am, your session today has helped me reconnect with all the goodness that was there, that you had, that you gave us in your tenure as principal in that school. And I only want to say, ma'am, more sessions with you would be nothing but pure pleasure and a huge learning experience for all of us, ma'am. Thank you so much for today's session, ma'am. I'm looking forward to more sessions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you. Anytime.
Thank you, ma'am.
Definitely.
Thank you, ma'am.
Suneha?
Yes, ma'am.
Suneha? Yes?
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
You want to ask something?
And Julie, this can be the last question because time is running out.
No,
if you don't mind,
then,
yeah. We can have another session
Suneha.
soon, I'm sure, in August, definitely.
Yeah. Then I request Suneha, a student, B.Ed student, to propose vote of thanks.
Sure, ma'am. Good morning, everyone. I'm Suneha Kumari, B.Ed first year student. First of all,
good morning. Nice to see your face.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
I welcome our president, Mr. B. Chandrasekhar, in today's session. We are about to end.
I joined a bit late, but I covered most of it.
Prema ma'am, are you?
Yes, please.
Sir wants to say something to you.
Yes, Mr. Chandrasekhar, how are you?
I'm fine, very much. Thank you very much. I had a thing in our CBSE school, and so I joined a little late. But most of it was very nice. Hearing voice again gives me a hope about doing fine.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, Suneha?
Yes, thank you, ma'am. I would like to present my sincere gratitude to Mrs. Prema Balasubramanian for taking out time from her busy schedule and to enlighten us on the buzzing topic of virtual class and empowering ourselves. I'm really thankful to you for like mentioning all the aspects of online classes, like merits of context settings, leading questions, and feedback mechanism. That too through virtual classes, like that, which is a very a great example. And regarding the empowering of ourselves, you have very well mentioned that physical and psychological well-being is very important aspect for keeping ourselves healthy and happy, especially in such unprecedented time. Thank you so much, ma'am. Now I would like to thank Mrs. Bhanumati Nilkanthan ma'am and Mr. B. Chandrasekhar sir and the whole DBMS family for arranging such enlightening sessions for us. And at the end, I assure you, ma'am, we would work on your thought, like reading more, writing more, and interacting more for keeping ourselves productive. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, all of you.
Thanks a lot, ma'am.
Not at all. My pleasure.
We
Anytime.
really enjoyed it. Thank you.